Hey, what's up, guys? We're back for another episode of the Canadian MMA Podcast, the seventh one, because I checked this time. It's the seventh one. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I had a fire day. Went to Tristan Rivenal and saw all of the guys training, some guys from Samourai, but also guys from BFL. Maxime Soucy was there. I had a chance to roll with them. I had a cool-ass day, did the podcast with them and everything. So I had lots of fun there, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that. It looked sick getting to do the podcast in person with some of the guys. When I hopped on, you were on with Duprat and Morgan. So that looked awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. There was, I think, Morgan told me 57 people showed up to the sparring today, which is pretty crazy for a gym outside of Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, we're to talk about a lot of shit as usual. We've had pretty much 20, 30 Canadians fight this weekend. But before we talk about that, we got like a guest who every time I get to speak to him, I'm super happy because he's one of my favorite fighters ever. The guy's a fucking crazy motherfucker. And we're going to see him at Samourai MMA in a huge title fight, the most anticipated fight on the card, the body snatcher, Jesse Ronson. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thanks, man. It's been a hell of a ride for you since the last time that we spoke.
It's always going, man.
Man, if there's one fighter that's gonna take us through a ride every time, we know it's the body snatcher. And man, you're there. Unfortunately, not in the UFC anymore, but you're back home, ready to wreck shit up. So, man, how are you generally feeling, man?
I feel great. I'm 37 now, so I got all this experience, fight experience, training experience behind me. I feel all my skills are the best they've ever been. And I know exactly what I need to do to get in shape and, not be injured and, training smart, training hard. And I think you're going to see the best body snatcher versus Robert Sayers. It sucks to say that, but it's like, man, I feel good and I feel ready.
Yep. Like, I know officially you do not have a UFC win, but do you feel like you got a UFC win? Because I seen you drop a guy and choke him out.
Yeah, I do. To be honest, that Nicholas Dalby fight was I count that as a win because even though I tested positive for a tainted supplement, I had no idea what was in me. And to be honest, that thing only set me back because I kept gaining weight. Like I was eating at one point for 2 weeks before that fight. I was having like 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. That's it. And I was still gaining weight. I'm like, how the fuck is this possible? I'm not even eating anything and I'm still gaining weight. What's going on? I stopped lifting weights, everything else. Like it was so like the only thing that thing did was set me back and gave Nicholas Dalby like a weaker, slower version of Jesse Ronson. And I still, I beat him, choked him out. You can say what you want, but I didn't do anything on purpose or illegally or whatever. But I count it as a win, and despite what it is, like a no contest, at least I can go down and be like, well, my hand got raised, so I can always look at that video and be like, yeah, go me.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was, like you said, it's a fucking adventure every time, bro. But now you get the chance to be back for BTC. Is it me or was it like shortish notice? I feel like we heard you got released, then you were booked, then you fought. It just happened so fast.
Yeah, it was about a week and a half, if not 2 weeks after I got released that I talked to Woodrow James. He's like, so we're going to have you on that BTC card? I'm like, sure, if you can afford me. And I threw out a number and they're like, okay, we'll do that. And they got me, they sent me a list of like, oh, we got this guy that's 7-7. I'm like, nah. They're like, how about this guy? Nah. How about this guy? He's 29-10. 9-fight win streak. I was like, perfect. Let's go with that guy. That looks a little more, up my alley. Same amount of experience as me. I didn't know how old he was, to be honest, but same amount of experience on a big win streak. And my manager was like, yeah, you just need to string some wins together. I'm like, I'm not gonna fight a guy that's 6-7 or 7-7. I'm not gonna fight bums or cans because that doesn't prepare you for the next level if you fight shitty guys. Because then you just go to the next level and be like, oh my god, right? So 29-10. My manager said, get this win, get another win, and, we'll see what we can do afterwards. I'm hoping Bellator 1 FC, and they gave me, what's his name? Daniel Lafam messaged me about 2 weeks before that fight with Northern Ashford being like, hey, do you want to fight Robert Sayers in March? I'm like, well, I got this fight coming up in December. I'm like, do you want to wait and see if I win that one? Because I know I needed 2 fights, so won it. Messaged him within an hour after I won it, and we set up this Robert Serras fight, who's been on a tear since losing to Capone like 6 years ago. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Like, were you there that night when you fought Capone?
Yes, I was. And to be honest with you, I thought Capone had won that fight. Or sorry, I thought Serras won that fight over Capone. I screwed that up. I just thought that he had it 2-1, but then Andrew and I, my coach, we just rewatched it, and we see how Capone won. Like, Robert Serras didn't do anything with any of the top control that he had, and I was like, okay, because I remember specifically at the time, I thought Robert Serras won that fight, but yeah, after rewatching it, I can see how they gave it to Capone.
For sure, man, and like, I'm super excited, to be honest, because I feel like it's a comeback to like this Samourai card. I say it every time. It's got like a major TKO vibe in the sense that everybody's fighting. Everybody's going to be there except for Mixfall. Everybody's there. So it's going to be a huge ass event. And like, you know, the TKO fights, the big fight of the evening is Jesse Ronson coming in and try to beat another one of our guys. And it's going to be that again, man. And I'm super fucking excited, man.
Man, I love fighting in Montreal. I love fighting in Quebec. Like, the crowd, whether they're with you or against you, the crowd is in it, and they come in numbers, man. Like, it's real. Like, you could fight in Toronto, or I could fight in Toronto on Jamie Champion's PFC show, and like half the arena will be empty. Just, it's not the same thing. Whereas Montreal, like, it doesn't matter if it's UFC or some barroom brawl. Like, if it's planned and, you know, there's 2 guys fighting, like the Quebec fans are showing up, and it's always a great time fighting in Quebec, whether I'm the good guy or the bad guy. And I've been the bad guy I think the only time I've ever was the good guy is when I fought Jimmy Spikuza.
Yeah, for real, man. But and this time's gonna be crazy too, because it's an old ass arena. It's in Laval, which is like North Shore of Montreal, and it's an arena where they play, I don't know how you call that, but here we call it semi-pro hockey, like the fighting hockey leagues, basically, like the hockey
like
games
the Chiefs and
yeah, exactly,
nice.
the hockey games that you go only to see motherfuckers fight, and it's gonna be at that arena. And for real, bro, I think 75% of the tickets are sold, and fighters keep calling Daniel for more tickets, and like, he's not sure whether he should give it to them or keep it on the internet, because he's not even sure there's going to be tickets at the door, man. So it's going to be.
They should try and bring Steve Bossé to that. He's a fucking man when it comes to hockey fighting. That'd be a good halftime show. Hey, everybody, local legend Steve Bossé. You know, he's probably fought in this arena 50,000 times.
Yeah, I don't think Bossé can even lift his arms anymore. So, but
no, oh damn.
Yeah, bro, his career basically ended because he got taken down in the gym and fell on his shoulder, and his shoulder was like, nah, that's it for me, bro. Sorry.
I knew he stopped fighting because of injuries, but I thought it was also because he got a job as a firefighter too. So it's like, you make good money doing that. Yeah. Like, why the fuck sacrifice yourself?
Yeah, man. Yeah, at that, and like a wood company, like he cuts wood and sells like wood, like a package basically. For people who got ovens and shit. So yeah, like, do you expect Robert Serras to come out swinging like a crazy? Because that's pretty much what he did his 3 last fights.
You know, the Kevin General fight was amazing. I mean, as dumb as I think Kevin General is, like, he scraps. He's a fighter. You want somebody to, hey, Kevin, we're going to go fight these guys. He'd be like, whose car are we taking? You know what I mean? Kevin General is a fighter. He's down to fight. I like him. Robert Serras also, like, he obliged. Kevin's like, let's throw 11 seconds, man. They both just traded. The De Lorenzi fight, you know, he seemed a little reserved. It's almost as if he's like, holy fuck, I'm fighting this legend. At one point was touted to be better than George St. Pierre. Like, that was 10 years ago. So you could see he was a little more reserved. But then when he found his opening, he fucking went crazy and didn't stop until they pulled him off. So I'm expecting a smart Robert Serras, because if he comes out of the gate hot, I'm going to knock him out. If he comes out crazy, he's not lasting very long. So to be honest, I think he's going to come out smart, wait for me to make a mistake, or he might try to take me down. One of those things. It could be very grappling heavy, and then just like, you know what I mean? Like, try to engage in a clinch and then brawl afterwards. However, I really don't know. He's 7-3. He hasn't really changed much his entire pro career, and I mean, I'm sure he's getting better, but I just can't really tell what people are going to do. He's got 10 pro fights. I was changing every fight up until about 20 fights, how I approach things, how I started off. So really can't say, but I'm ready for everything. If he wants to come out hot, if he wants to grapple, if he wants to be smart, we can do it all. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure, man. So how's training going outside of like doing 30 minutes in 200-degree saunas?
Oh yeah, just did that. Training's going great. Traveling up to Hamilton and Burlington Training Center all the time to train. Got a lot of guys there, not 57 dudes like TriStar, but on average every Saturday there's about 30 guys, and it's the room is packed full of everyone. Mike Malott's there. We got Urgis Sagata. I've been doing a lot of rounds with Urgis, and I said there's no way in hell Robert Serres is anywhere close to Urgis when it comes to wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And I've been doing a lot of rounds with Urgis. There's just so many guys. Like every UFC fighter, every fighter you can think of, even Romero, like Kyle Nelson, Christian Savoy came down there for a while. Like there's so many. I got a couple rounds in with him. Just so many people come in on the Saturday. It's amazing. And then, training at home. Got a lot of guys. I got Clay Pye, who's like an Olympic level wrestler, coming in to run practices. So it's like I wish I had this stuff when I was in the UFC. You know what I mean? I've got better training now that I'm out of the UFC than when I was. I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? I should have been doing this stuff when I was in the UFC. That's why I said I'm better now than I ever was, because I've got so many high-level guys to train with all the time.
Yo, there's something going on with like the Hamilton, Niagara area for real, man. The guys are coming out of there like crazy. There's like 3 or 4 super odd gyms, like the Crewellin gym, the Niagara Top Team, Aegis. Yeah. You've got the guys that train out at the BTC training center and everything.
Yeah, so everybody from those gyms goes to BTC on Saturday to spar. Like Crewellin's there, always on Saturdays cornering guys. All the guys from Aegis, like Lyndon's there, the coach from Aegis, he's there. Prickett's there. Like I said, Malott, Romero, Jay Edmond, so many. Everybody's there. I don't need to drop names. Like I said, all those gyms, they all go to BTC on Saturday, and we all just beat the hell out of each other.
Yo, the question is, when is Crewellin not there? Like this fucking guy, you tune in to an event on Friday somewhere and he's there cornering a guy. Then you tune into the UFC the day after and he's in Mike Malott's corner, and then he's in fucking China or whatever doing like, I don't know. This guy's fucking everywhere, man.
He's a hot product, man. Like, it seems that whatever he touches turns to gold. It shows, he's got guys like Shane Campbell, brought him up from nothing, like 10-time champion. He's got like 15 belts under him. UFC guy. He's got Kyle Nelson. There you go. Another UFC guy. Look at Dennis Purick in ONE FC. That's his guy. Will Romero back in the day. That's his guy. Mike Malott's his guy. Josh Hill was his guy. Right? Lyndon started there. Like
fucking Adrian Woolley, man.
He must know what he's doing, because they call a house of champions, man. He must know what he's doing. He's got to have some sort of secret ingredient, secret training. But I love Lynn. I like if he's ever at an event, I'm like, you are wrapping my hands, because every time he's wrapped my hands, I've laid a guy out. So
for real, the guy knows what he's doing, man. I love him too. Every time I go to an event, I make sure to have a drink with him and everything. He's
a great guy.
Yeah, he's my guy for sure, man. So, man, what's the general plan looking forward? I know you're looking maybe to a Bellator or an opportunity like this after this fight. Do you think, like, with a huge performance that can materialize like right now, or you think you need a couple more fights?
I think after I finish Robert Serres and I win a title, that puts me in a very commanding spot to get Bellator or ONE FC. Like, I got a lot left. I know I said I lose one more time, I'm done. I'm done MMA, that's for sure. That'd be 13 losses. Like that's enough, but I still feel like I got a lot more to give. So I don't want to give up. I'm happy to stop at 13 losses. I've done enough, but I still got a lot more to show and a lot more to give. And, I want to make a lot more money out of this sport. I've given a lot to it. So I think it's time for it to start giving back. So beating Robert Serres in commanding fashion and gaining a title, especially, getting a title helps. And, I feel like ONE FC or Bellator is definitely right around the corner. Probably see me there in the summer. If not, I'm trying to get as many fights as possible. So I would be interested in fighting in April or May. And then I've talked to BFL about fighting Dejan Kajic in July 13th for their 170 title. They're interested in that, but I said I would love to fight one more time because July's forever away. I'm not going to wait 5 months or 4 or 5 months after that. Like I know I can fight in end of April, early May, and then fight Dejan in July, and then see what happens. You know what I mean? And just want to stay busy. I want to get to 50 pro fights, and I'm at what am I at? I'm at 35 pro MMA and 2 pro kickboxing. So I have 13 more fights. I want to get 13 more fights before I turn 40. That's when I'm going to turn the lights off. Is at 40.
Damn, man, you got a schedule ahead of you, bro. I don't know, Josh. If did you have anything for Jesse?
No, I was just gonna ask like where you sort of see yourself after this fight, but Faber covered that the last one. So yeah.
No, I'm definitely trying for Bellator. They pay exceptionally well, and it's the thing is if I go to Bellator, I probably won't stay that busy, which sucks. I would love to do ONE FC. This way I could do, grappling. I could do kickboxing. I could do MMA and ONE FC. They have a lot of shows, and they're open to let their fighters, cross all that stuff. So, and, I'd love to fight over in Asia. I haven't fought. I don't want to sound racist or anything, but I've never fought like an Asian guy. I'd love to fight I fought pretty much everybody else, but, I just love the style, the atmosphere, everything that they do in ONE FC, the no weight cutting, everything. Like I'd probably have to fight it. There's no probably I'd fight at 185 in ONE FC because you're not allowed to cut weight. They make you weigh in like 8 weeks before, and you got to be within 3% of your fight weight. So yeah, I'd be excited for that.
Bro, the thing I like about ONE FC is the names on the card, bro. It's absolutely crazy. The fuckers are named like Batman and Avatar. There was a Ted 99 the other day. Like, bro, it's absolutely ridiculous. But they're putting on a show for real, man. I think they're doing events almost every week too this year. So
that's why I said I'd love to get out there and just stay busy. I know they could give me 4 or 5 fights a year. And without cutting weight, I know my longevity could last even longer. So, so it's the weight cutting that kills you, man. That's why, Charles Jourdain and, Israel Adesanya, guys that don't cut much weight, even Louis Jourdain, what a fucking killer. These guys don't cut much weight, and they're just, land-basting guys having great fights. They're not getting thrown around. They're not getting, smashed up. But, yeah, this weight cutting thing is definitely set me back a little bit. It sets everybody back. So, I think they're onto something. That's why I'm happy to move up to 165 or 170.
Yep. Bro, did you have any news of the Tommy Theocaris fight? I know he won, but like, do you know how it happened or whatever?
No, I literally just saw a picture today of him and Hordesky. It was weird because Gord Cunningham, he was at my house yesterday after we drove to BTC, we sparred, we came back. He was in here and Tommy called him and they were talking. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's no link, no nothing, no actual fight footage. But yeah, he won a title. So
Tommy, man, he's good to fight at fucking places where you can't see it after all. Or you get a weird ass Facebook live from a weird angle or whatever.
From a cell phone from the 80s. And
yeah. Yeah, and before I let you go, I know, man, you got a take on the Mike Malott versus Yohan fight. What'd you think of that?
To be honest, Yohan Lainesse he's big, like he's massive. I remember one time saying that I wanted to fight him in TKO when he was like 3-0, and they're like, "Oh no, he's not ready for you." I'm like, he's the only one that's left. I always thought that his ground game was lacking, and I remember sparring with Mike a couple of weeks ago. He's like, Ron, like they prick it and everything, like, Ronson, get in here. I'm like, okay, like, what do you want? You're going with Mike. And within, 30 seconds, Mike shot for a takedown. Like he was going for control. Like it was a hell of a fucking round. Cause I asked him like, hey, what's the game plan? Like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, just be you. I'm going to try and do what they want me to do. And like the way he executed that round, I was like, holy shit, if you do that to Yohan Lainesse, you're going to put him away in 1. And sure enough, he stuck to the plan and executed and put him away in 1. But that's not saying Yohan Lainesse is done. I mean, he's a great striker. He's a big body. He'll do well at 170. Just, he could go back and work that ground game, work that wrestling, and he'll be a threat.
Yeah, I know they had the same amount of fight, like about, but fucking Malott has been fighting pro since 2011 and Yohan since like 2018, I think. So
Yeah, I've known
Yohan,
Mike since he was like 18 years old. We've been training together for a very, very long time. And yeah, he's put a lot of hard work in with a lot of very high level guys. Like he's the next big thing. It was Charles. Now it's, it's Mike, man. Mike's going to he's the next big thing. He's not going to, maybe he'll do what George St. Pierre does. Who knows? But I have full confidence in Mike Malott to bring, UFC back to Canada with big numbers.
for sure, man. He's a hell of a prospect. And you could just see when the fight started the way that like he was so smooth and Yohan kind of looked a little bit nervous, like big reactions and everything when Mike was doing stuff. So yeah, no, amazing performance for Mike. Of course, I love Mike too. Every time I see him in Ontario, he's a super cool guy. But of course, Yohan is my friend. I've been knowing for a while.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked to see that because he had such a non-performance. Like he threw one punch, got on his back, got choked out, didn't do shit. So like it's rough to see that, but I'm always super happy for Mike and all the guys at Niagara Top Team, man. I love these guys, man.
I'm happy when any Canadian wins in the UFC. Like they said, there's like 21% of the Canadian UFC roster is fighting on the weekend. And I looked up because I thought there may be more, but it's only 3 people. Yeah. 3 people is 21%. That means there's like 15 Canadians in the UFC. So it's like, it sucks that they make Canadians fight each other, but I'm just happy anytime a Canadian wins in the UFC. I'm always cheering for the Canadians.
Yeah, no, I hated that fight because of that. Like, I know for a fact Jourdain has been looking to fight Hakeem Dawodu for like 3 years. And they've been saying no because you guys are Canadian. We don't want to have you fight each other. Then they turn around and take the only 2 Canadians in the division, which are both at the beginning of their career. Like, let's say you want them to fight for a reason or another. Like, build them up. Give this to a card in Canada, like big main card fight. You've got the 2 Canadian guys that are on the rise or whatever. No, they're just like 1 or 2 fights into their careers. They're fighting each other on an absolute trash card that nobody gives a fuck about. Like, nobody give a fuck about this card to the point that when the main event got canceled, nobody gave a fuck, man.
You're right. Nobody said anything. Nobody said a damn thing. They're like, oh, Krylov's hurt. Oh, that sucks. Who's next?
He's gonna finish earlier, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Like, who's next? Oh, it's Arnold Allen. Like, Arnold Allen's a beast. He deserves a main event slot, but yeah, you're right. The card that nobody gives a fuck about. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see who Charles fights next. I understand why he wants Hakeem Dawodu.
I'm not gonna tell you because we're on air, but Charles has got a fight on UFC 288, and it's a crazy one, man.
Yeah, because Hakeem, if he beats Hakeem, he's for sure hands down the best 145 striker in the nation.
Yep.
And that's a title, even though it's only for Canada, it's the fucking title that I tried to. That's why I fought Shane Campbell back in the day. The winner of this fight's the best striker in Canada, best 55. I'm like, I want that fight just to say that I'm the fucking best in this country. I'll work on the fucking North America and the world afterwards, but I want to say start here and work your way up. And Charles is a fucking warrior. He's an animal. So I know he beats Hakeem. Doesn't even matter if it's a grappling fight. He's the best 45er in Canada for sure.
Yep. For sure, my guy. So, man, thanks a lot for always taking the time, bro. I appreciate it. And we'll see you on fucking March 11, Samourai MMA for the title, 165 title. Jesse Ronson, Robert Series. Thanks a lot, my guy.
Let's go.
Boom. There it is. Jesse Ronson, one of my favorite fighters of all time. This guy is such a fucking crazy animal, man, when he fights.
Yeah, man, he's such an entertaining fighter, and first time talking to him, and he seems like a entertaining guy as well, like a fun guy to talk to.
Bro, when he was when he wanted to fight Jonathan Meunier and TKO, that was like a old moment because Jesse was going at him like crazy, and Meunier was just like not answering. You knew that he did not want this fight at all, but Jesse kept going at him, and he had some hilarious things to say all the way through, man. It was great. Probably the best fight build-up for fights that never happened.
Yeah, and he's got a huge fight coming up. Like his manager said, if he gets 2 quick ones, then he can sign with a bigger promotion. And hopefully that doesn't happen after this fight because like I would love to see him and Dahan fight at BFL. I'd get to see that live, and that would be one of BFL's like higher level fights that they'd ever have. So. Fingers crossed for my sake that fight happens because that would be a barn burner fight as well.
Yo, man, for sure. That would be some OG shit too. Like Dayan's been there for like 25 years. Jesse's been there for always, and like just who's the baddest motherfucker, man? And just Dayan been fighting up to like 185 at a point, so going to 170 to fight him. That's some Jesse Ronson stuff for you right there, man. So, bro, did we get some fights announced this week? A couple of them, but not much, I feel.
Yeah, we got a couple. I didn't keep track of them, but I know we got like TKO got one, BTC had one or two.
Yeah, I think did we speak about the Simon Lagarde, Gordon Cunningham?
I think we touched on that last time.
Okay, so for Samourai, we'd be at the Tommy Morrison fight then. Edwin Martinez is a Mexican guy, 1-0. It was not the first opponent. He had an opponent for a while, very good guy. He got injured, unfortunately, so they kind of had to scramble. Like they wanted to announce the fight, then the guy got injured, so they scrambled. They found another Mexican because, of course, there's always going to be a Mexican willing to come and fight. And it's going to be Edwin Martinez, and we've got then Suab Damani, Irvin Molina. I don't know Suab at all. He's a guy from Tunisia. And he's moved to Quebec City. He's from Lévis, but he moved to Quebec City. He's training there now at Nordique with Alex Murat. Joe Ramsey goes there from time to time. So I think he's already got some pro fights. He's 2-1 as a pro. And he's going to be fighting Irving Molina, who fought Joe Ramsey, the previous Samurai card. And basically he's got the intel on him since he's kind of training with Joe. And then today we've got like a really banging fight announced. Alan Girard, Tyler Freeman. Tyler got lots of amateur experience. We've been waiting to see him for a while, and every time something happened, like one time he was supposed to fight Mohamed Ado, who fought Matt Special at the Unified event, and did not work out. Then he was supposed to fight another guy. The guy got COVID. Stupid shit always happening to him, but I saw him today. He's ready to go. And Alan Girard, you know that he's going to show up and that he's going to be in your face, try to brawl and be super aggressive. So it just keeps building up this card, man. And there's still fights left to announce. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And it's coming real soon. Then, yes, we need to touch on the prospect main event. Finally got announced. Strania Gavrilovic, Ricardo Chavez, which is a fight, man. I think if you look at the records and all, Ricardo Chavez is why did it? I think my computer just auto-corrected to Richard, which is like the French name. I need MMA, please, guys. Of course, there was going to be a soccer player named Ricardo Chavez, but there he is. The guy has got a 11-14 record, which is not good. Like we're not gonna go 15 ways about it. It's not a good record. But Strania has not been on the greatest. Yes, he won against Bosuku at Samourai, the crazy ass knockout. But before that, he was on a big losing streak, and then he lost to KB. So it's a good fight for Strania to be able to express himself, especially that, yes, his opponent lost the majority of his fights, but mostly loses either by submission or decision. Strania not that much of a submission threat, so we can at least expect some absolute fireworks here, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's never a dull moment when you've got Strania going in the cage. So PFC has a great main event here. You said this is main event, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great way for them to close out the card.
For sure. Then BTC, we have had a couple fights announced. Amin Al-Malik, Clean Amin is back. Clean Amin is back against Dan Shapiro. I don't know if he knows Ben Shapiro. Maybe they're related, but I think he's American. So I guess we'll find out. So they'll be fighting then. Very interesting fight. Liam Gallagher, Karim Enyen. Karim is from Montreal. He's training out of Track Fit Boxing along with Charles Azoulay. The coaches are basically Francis Carmon, the UFC vet, and Coach Will, and they're like related to the TriStar gym. So all the guys out of there go to train at TriStar too and everything. So Karim had a very good first pro fight for BTC. He fought Alex Glusman and really showed some great stuff. And he's going to be fighting Liam Gallagher, who's a guy from Aegis MMA and with like a personal project of Josh Hill. And a very, very good young fighter who's 2-0, I believe, right now. So battle of the very good prospects in that fight. Then we've got Mike's son, Andrew Babcock. He's going to fight Noah Crosswell. I think it's a pro debut for the son of one of the worst coaches in history. And I don't think he's his son, but yeah, still. And fucking Matt Smith, the Mauler. He's back with his mullet and is generally a very country look. He's going to fight a guy named Silvestre Sanchez, who looks like he's probably Mexican. So that's the BTC fights that got announced. Let's look quickly at BFL. Did they announce things, BFL?
I think just one. Did we talk about Mateo Vogel?
No, that's the one. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, big
Go
one
ahead.
too. Yeah, big one too for Mateo Vogel against Drew Brokenshire. Like, biggest test for Mateo up to date, I think. Well, that's debatable as two guys that he's fought are in the UFC right now. Is Garrett Armfield was supposed to just fight yesterday, but Jose Johnson had to pull out, and then he also had the fight against Damon Blackshear.
Yeah, who got a very surprising draw in his debut.
Yeah, and he's fighting next week. So we're seeing the level of guys that Mateo's fought against, and he got the win against Armfield. Lost the decision to Blackshear, I believe, but didn't get finished. And now he's fighting Drew Brokenshire, who's 17-8, which is a pretty crazy record for someone that's never even gotten a chance in the UFC. He's got wins over Andre Ewell. He's fought Jeremy Kennedy, who we just saw in Bellator, who was going to be should be getting a title shot. Fought Chase Hooper, Julian Arosa, has a win over Arosa too. So huge fight for Mateo here. If he wins this, like, what else is left for him to do before he gets a shot at Contender Series? Or even if the UFC is a card in Canada this year, he could just skip the Contender Series and get a shot straight in the UFC. So what are your thoughts on the fight?
Oh man, it's a good ass fight. Mateo said he wanted a guy with experience. Like you said, he's getting a fighter who's like 17-8, which when you look at the level of competition he fought is basically a good record, man. It's a very good record, so it's gonna be a crazy ass fight. I think Mateo's absolutely ready for that type of competition. Like you said, he fought and defeated guys that are now in the UFC. So man, the Garrett Armfield one was such a crazy comeback too. So no, Mateo's there, and I can't wait for this fight, to be honest. It's really, really stacked card for BFL. I know that maybe Samurai will have more fights. We're looking at maybe 14 pro fights for the Samurai card, which is pretty much double than any other promotion is able to do right now. But no, the BFL one with the three huge title fights and the Willett brothers and the Mitch and Ali fight is gonna be crazy, man.
Yeah, BFL's got 23 MMA bouts scheduled right now. So I'm gonna be there live, and I'm gonna have to pack a lunch with me because it's gonna be like a full work day sitting there watching those fights.
Oh man, I gotta feel for my guy David Perron, who's gotta prepare for all of that shit. Every amateur fight on the prelim, everything, man. But bro, you love to see it, man. Honestly, I was speaking with Fred Duprat earlier today, and in Quebec, I really feel like the Ali moment was enormous for MMA. It's like our first big MMA moment post pandemic. And we've seen I've basically had people come into my gym wanting to try to do jiu-jitsu or whatever because they saw the Ali fight, and man, it was a moment. So we gotta keep open to have some more moments like this in the future. And to have these moments like this, we got to have fighters. We got to have like fighters in action, and to see like 23 cards in BC, 23 fights in BC, 14 in Quebec, 2 cards in Ontario in the same month. Fight League Atlantic still putting on work in the eastern provinces, and like all of that coming together. The Unified 50 event that's coming. So it's a good time, I think, for Canadian MMA, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Just like looking at this calendar behind my screen, and with all of these events coming up, it's going to be insane. And we've also got a lot of Canadians in the bigger promotions, such as Bellator, the champion in 1FC, Arjun Bowler, and some UFC people fighting in March and April as well. So the next month or 6 weeks even are going to be pretty incredible for Canadian MMA with all of the talent we're going to get to see. It's really exciting, and I think this is going to be like a big, especially with this last weekend of Canadians killing it in competition, could be the start of like the Canadian MMA sort of taking off again, because it's been in a lull the past couple of years, you could say.
Yeah, it was a tough time, but yeah, I think we're back, and let's talk about some fights, man. I don't know if you were able to see all the fights. I saw every one of them except for like Tommy Theocaris. Like I asked Jesse, like it's very good to fight in super obscure promotions, and just we don't really get to see video or nothing. That fucking sucks, because he's such a crazy fighter, man. He's so entertaining when he fights, and got another belt, man. I think he's got 2 pro belts now. So props to him. I'd like to have him on the podcast very soon, of course. So I'll try to get this done. But yeah, first action of the weekend was for UAE Warriors. We had 2 guys fighting, one on Friday, one on Saturday. The first one was Taha Bendaoud. Did you see this fight?
Yeah, it was super early in the morning, and I was sort of eating while I was watching it, but I did make an effort to watch it. I don't, like I said, I don't remember the most of it, but I just remember like Taha looked good on the feet. I'm pretty like won the decision and had some clean striking and just looked pretty good in it. But yeah, what were your thoughts?
Yes, but first of all, man, I gotta give him some props just for like being there and shit. Like, bro, he's only 1-0 in his career, and yes, I know he's from Morocco and he's got like lots of connections back there and everything, but to be fighting on UFC Fight Pass for UAE Warriors and on your second pro fight, it's pretty big, because it's one of the promotions that when you look at the broadcast and everything, it looks like super professional. Like it looks like they put money into that stuff. So it's really cool for him to have this opportunity that early in his career. And as for the fight, yeah, he really dominated, but not in a super dominant way. Like it was clear all the way through. He did not like kick the shit out of the other guy or anything, but like all the way through, when they were standing, he looked like he was the more comfortable guy at range. When they were clinching, lots of clinching in that fight, to be honest, and he was able to have like most of the small victories in the clinch that gave him the better positions and the better places to either strike or try his takedowns. Of course, the second round was my favorite and was the best round of the fight for him, and that's funny because he got instantly taken down in that round. But went for the triangle, was very tight for a while. Like there's some triangle attempts that you see the guy, like he knows he's in the triangle, but he works his way out of it, and he's never really like in danger because he recognized that like he was getting a triangle attempt on him. So, but that in that case, the guy was Stembizo Adebe, which is an amazing name, to be honest. But the guy really was in trouble for a little while in that triangle. Really had to take like drastic measures to get out of there. And then Taha played the rubber guard for the rest of the round. And like I don't want to send a shot or anything there, but he played it better than Rafael Ouellet, man. He was able to try for the Gogo Plata, and when his opponent, he had the right defense, like tucking his chin, like at the opposite side and everything. But when you do that, that opens up the omoplata transition, and Taha was playing really well between these two transitions, these two positions to threaten his opponent for the whole round. And basically, like I don't think I've ever seen a clearer round from the guy on the bottom. Like there's always an argument like, oh, yes, he did good work, but he was on the bottom for the full round. Yes, that was the case, but like I don't think there was a moment where Adibe was able to do anything else but to defend the submission attempt from Taha. So it was like the clearer round of the fight for me. Then yeah, round 3, kind of like the first round, very good performance. Like, to be honest, I know that he can give us more. That's for a fact. I know that like he can be like more explosive with his striking. He's able to finish people with his hands. He's pretty much a better striker than grappler, even though that's not what we've seen in his 2 first pro fights, because the first one he won by triangle, and that one I think is pretty much the grappling in the second round that got him the fight. But no, amazing performance. He's there in Abu Dhabi. He's got the Arab connection, and he's ready to make some money and get some fans over there. So I'm super happy for my guy Taha, who I like very much. Always been a very, very cool guy to me every time we met. And yes, man, super happy for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've got some amateur fights that took place Friday down in the States. All of them, I believe, 3 guys that I was able to find when I was just scrolling through Tapology and trying to see if there were any other Canadians fighting this weekend. And as I happened to stumble across a few guys. So first off, we had Gavin Bonadana against Adriel Rojas at Extreme Warriors Cage Fighting 89. That took place in Flint, Michigan. And Bonadana, it's a pretty good last name. It's hard it is to say, but he got a big win in the second round due to TKO. He hurt Rojas bad to the body with a knee. The body kick was what really hurt him. But before that, he got a nice knee, sort of breaking out of the clinch, and got a punch, and then hurt him bad with the body. Let off a crazy flurry against the cage and just put him down. And ref jumped in. So he jumps to 2-0 as a flyweight amateur. Exciting guy to watch, and look forward to seeing him in there again. Then over at Ignite Annual Fights, I believe this one was in Chicago, or just Illinois somewhere. Not 100% sure though, but we had Mitch Bulmer taking on Christian Herrera. Was a tough TKO loss for Bulmer. He had success in the first round. I thought he won it with some good grappling and control on top against the cage, but second round he just couldn't recover after he got hurt against Herrera and just got finished up against the fence is what it looked like. Then in the main event of that same card and Ignite Annual Fights, Kelton Sneeve took on the hometown guy Trevin Lawson. Sneeve was able to get the split decision win, got the lightweight belt, used his length good to get the better of the striking for the first half of the fight. It was pretty close though, as you can probably tell from the split decision. And then later half of the fight, Sneeve had success with the grappling. He almost got a rear naked choke near the end, but yeah, secured the title. Amateur record of 6-1 now, and definitely someone to watch when he makes his pro debut, and he looks ready to do it. And that, yeah, recaps Friday for Canadian MMA.
Yup, let's move on to very early, a little less early though, because it was later on the card, but yeah, man, for real, that card was super early for you guys, like 9 a.m. Here's 6 a.m., bro. What the fuck?
It was like started 6 a.m., but Taha fought like around 7 probably. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and Xavier fought around like noon here, so that makes it a little more manageable. But yeah, Xavier Alaoui, man, is just a very good fighter. Like the guy, yeah, back in like 2017, 2018, like they didn't have some good years there. Lost, like it went 1-3 basically during that time, but his losses were like a split decision to Josh Hill at TKO, a split decision to Edgar Scrivers at ACB, but the ACB card that was in Montreal. And he was 50. Scrivers was 15-3 at the moment that he fought Alaoui, and then he fought another guy for ACB back in Grozny, so in Chechnya, and it was a guy named Shamil Shakbulatov who was 8-1. And in all these cases against Scrivers, it was a split decision. Against Shakbulatov, it was a majority decision that he lost. And then, yes, he has his more recent loss to Vinicius de Oliveira. That was a title defense for UAE Warriors. But basically, where I'm trying to go with that shit is that Xavier Alaoui is pretty much too good for the UAE Warriors circuit, in my opinion. Of course, it's a big opportunity for him. He's also from Morocco. He's also quite popular in like a Middle East and like North Africa region of the world. So, of course, it's a very good opportunity. And I know that like he makes good money to go there and fight and everything. But like if there's one Canadian fighter that deserves to be in the UFC, like there's many of them, but Xavier Alaoui is really one of them. And he made it look easy once again at UAE Warriors 36. Just bro, the Philippine guy Jason Margallo was good, was aggressive, went forward, was trying to put some pressure on Xavier, was trying to put some volume on Xavier, but kept getting countered every time he was trying to do stuff. Xavier at like good defense and at the counter ready to tag him, and near the end of the round he tagged him pretty good. Margallo thought that he had to shoot because it wasn't going well standing. But when you get stung and your first reflex is to shoot, often it's a very bad panic shot, like we call it, and that's exactly what he did. A very bad panic shot, and got guillotined in the very first round for it. So Xavier Alaoui now two wins in a row. Two great finishes. The knockout of Fabricio Saraf was absolutely legendary, man. And that one, a good guillotine win. So the guy's on a roll once again. And man, if he wants to stay there and make some money and be the Arabia champion of UAE Warriors or whatever, like I'm super happy now that it's on Fight Pass. I get to watch it, so it's cool for me. But like, if there's one guy that like should be competing with the best in the world, I feel like it's Xavier Alaoui right now.
Yeah, no doubt. In this one, he looked great on the feet from the start, like countering the low kicks with his hands right away, and caught Margallo in two exchanges leading up to that guillotine. Like that first one stumbled him back, and then another one, like he didn't have to touch him hard to make Margallo panic and shoot him for that takedown. And when he cinched up that neck, you could see the leverage he got, like making him flex. It was like I don't know how to explain it, but it looked tight and super impressive when he definitely deserves to. It's too bad he didn't get a shot on this season's season of Ultimate Fighter along with Brad Katona. Because I don't know if you saw it, but like there was some leaked stuff of the roster for Tough, and Brad Katona's getting another shot there supposedly. So it's too bad Alaoui couldn't have found himself in a position like that, but.
Bro, of course, Katona is one of the guy that Connor brought. Like, of course.
Yeah. And something funny is Loic Radzigabov, the PFL fighter. I saw in a leaked script of him, or a leaked roster thing. He was one of the fighters, but now Connor brought in three guys, and now Loic is taking on Esteban Riberios on short notice. So. Yeah, I'm shout out Connor for bringing Brad on though.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's gonna be okay. So fucking Loic is fighting like next week. Oh, that's good. At least like the UFC is gonna have like the decency to maybe like bring these guys in for a fight, see if they can do good. Because yeah, it's kind of tough that, no pun intended, that you think you're going to go on Tough and you get there and fucking McGregor's like, oh, no, who the fuck is that guy? He's bringing in his guys and everything. Like, he was going to do it, but yeah. Has to suck, especially when you're Loic, who's man, not from the US, basically. I know he fought in the US a lot recently because he was for PFL and he went to the finals and everything, but... did he even win once? No,
he beat Alex Martinez. I don't think he won a season though.
No, yeah, he lost. He went to the finals and then lost to Rausch Manfield in the finals of that year. So okay, no, he did not win the PFL, but did good in the PFL. The year before, because there was no PFL during COVID. I think he went pretty far too. Lost to Nathan Schultz. Mm-hmm. In the finals too, so he lost two times in the PFL finals. So that's pretty good tough. Pretty good fighter that we're getting. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that's cool. Yeah, of course, that Brad, because Brad is one of the guys that need to be in the UFC too. It
He
makes no
got
sense.
did dirty.
Yeah, it makes no sense that they ever cut him, to be honest. So I'm happy that he gets the chance to get the chance again. And tough, he basically won tough. He's a tough
He did.
champion. Beat fucking Bryce Mitchell in there and everything. So yeah, no, major props to Brad Catone, one of our guys. But if there's one other guy in Canada that is a top level fighter that was done dirty by the UFC after getting like not cut but not re-signed on a 3-1 contract where the only loss was to Alexander Volkanovski. But now I feel like it's all way past him because he's at Bellator. They like the hell out of his nickname, and he's absolutely mopping the floor with like the best position that they have for him there. And it's Jeremy Kennedy, man. What a performance once again, man.
Yeah, it feels like the nickname's finally getting some more of a spotlight now because it was like the talk of the town this weekend for him. But yeah, Carvalho called him out. He wouldn't stop calling him out, and he paid
That was
for it.
so dumb, man.
In his hometown too, in front of his people. He had to pay for all that he said. But yeah, super dominant from the start from JBC Kennedy, BC's own, my guy. But yeah, he has to get a title shot next from that. The only trouble he had was that guillotine early in the first round, but that was in for like 15, 20 seconds, was never tight, got out of that. And like from the second that he got a hold of him each round, it was just smothering performance. Looked brutal for Pedro Carvalho, and yeah, had the back for like over 5 minutes of the total fight, 2 minutes in the second, 3.5 minutes in the third round. And in enemy territory, Bellator better make the Pitbull fight next. It's Pitbull, yeah. One of the Pitbull, yeah. Because I know he's talking about going down to 135, but that would just be brutal. Because I bet in one universe, Pitbull's going to go to 135. Jeremy Kennedy's going to move down another 5 slots in the Bellator rankings because they make absolutely no sense. And then he's going to fight some other guy and 30-27 him again. But yeah, super impressive from Jeremy. Got him at Jeremy Kennedy by decision at even money plus 100, and I thought that was one of like the easiest bets I made all weekend. So shout out my guy JBC getting it done. It's gonna get that title next for sure.
Yeah, the thing with the Bellator rankings that I can appreciate is that they don't pretend that, oh, they're voted on by the media or whatever, like the UFC. Like, and if you look at the panel, you're like, do these outlets even exist? Like, so
No.
at least Bellator, they're saying, yeah, that's our rankings. You may not fuck with them, but like we're doing it, and that's how we feel that it should be and everything. So, yeah, props to them for that, for at least not lying. And were there like any other amateur fights or whatever on Saturday or?
No, not for Canadians.
No. Okay,
no.
So let's
it was
move
just a
on
busy
to
Friday.
Yeah, let's move on to the big stuff then. Start with Jasmine. So fucking happy, man. You had me doubting, to be honest. Like I watched some tape on Gabriela, and I was I don't know, because the last performance from Jasmine, I feel like it kind of got our hopes down on Jasmine a little bit, and we should just have gotten our hopes up on Natalia Silva. She's just amazing, to be honest, because Jasmine really like came back like it never happened. Yes, she got tagged on the feet like almost every round, but man, she was able to secure the takedowns every round. And what I like is that it took her 1 minute less every time. Like first round, she got touched up a little bit. I like how she was able to adapt, though, to have more pressure on her opponent. And she was even able to land some strikes back in that first round. But, yeah, pretty much half the round was on the feet. I don't think she was winning, to be honest. And then she was able to secure the takedown, did some good stuff on the takedown. But the first round, it was really the one that I wasn't sure. I gave it to Jasmine because I'm a homer and I wanted her to win. And I know that the judges, they tend to remember more what happened at the end of the round. So, of course, she finished very well. So I feel like she probably deserved that round. But if there's a round that you could argue that you don't know who won it, it was the first one. Then the second one, still getting touched up on the feet, but she's able to get to the clinch way faster. And when she takes her down, there's 3 minutes left in the round. And that's the round where she absolutely beat the living shit out of her, like crucifix, elbows, and everything. At a point, I just wanted the ref to stop the fight, to be honest, because like it wasn't like, oh, super big damage. She's close to getting like knocked out cold or whatever. But bro, that was a TKO, like a technical knockout. Girl couldn't get out of the position and was eating elbows in her face. But the referee didn't stop the fight. Did not change nothing because Jasmine just kept beating on her. And then third round, she got the takedown with 4 minutes left. So 2 minutes left in the first round, 3 minutes left in the second round, 4 minutes left in the third round. And of course, if you give Jasmine 4 minutes of top control, she's going to do bad stuff to you. And it was just very reassuring to see because, man, we know our top game is good. We know our ground and pound is one of the best in the division. Her wrestling did not look that good against Natalia, but it was maybe because she was getting punched so much. Like sometimes you're just punch drunk, and it's tougher to set up your takedowns the right way. In that fight, there wasn't as much of a speed difference between. Yes, of course, Gabriela was faster, looked like the more technical striker and everything, but like the difference wasn't that bad, and that's reassuring because like, you know that she's able to compete with some good strikers. It's not like if she's not able to get the fight down, she's not going to be able to do nothing. So, yeah, that was a reassuring performance, and I'm just so fucking happy for her, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to see Jasmine get back in the win column because, now she's 2-1 in the UFC. Like you said, Fernandez was doing like decent on the feet early, but Jasmine landed a decent right hand and then got her down in the first and just grinded it out and showed there's levels on the ground. Second round, that crucifix was so nasty, and she just like Fernandez had no idea what to do to get out of there. Jasmine kept like pulling her arm back in between her own legs, and it was just so dominant. Hit her with like at least 10-15 elbows that round alone. But yeah, she mauled her clean 30-26. That 10-8 coming in the second round, landed 4 takedowns, over 11 minutes of control time.
Like 100 and something ground strikes.
Landed almost 150 strikes officially, like 149. That's crazy pace by Jasmine, crazy volume. Whenever she got a chance to land ground and pound, she did. I'd like to see them remake the Courtney Casey fight next. That's what this was supposed to be, and I think getting a win over a name that people know would be good for Jasmine. And yeah, or someone like even Maria Agapova. I know Maria just fought Jillian Robertson, so maybe she wants to stay away from the Canadians. But either of those fights I'd be happy to see next. But yeah, amazing performance from Jasmine. Super happy to see her do that.
Yep. In the first round, when she got her down, like all my like the nervosity or everything that I had concerning that fight just got away, man. Because bro,
it's like you could breathe out.
Oh yeah, man. Because Fernandez showed us some bad grappling, like holding the head when the girl's inside control and stuff like that. I was like, bro, how are you in the UFC and are so bad at grappling, man? It was great, man. It was great all the way through. And man, shout out to Jasmine. She needed that one and she got it. So yeah, moving on, man, to the one that I hated all the way through. Fucking Yohan and the Mike Malott. Like, bro, it was such a non-performance from Yohan. Like, I gotta give all the props to Mike Malott. To be fair, he did amazing. Another first-round finish, a great submission. But, like, I did not recognize Yohan Lainesse at all in the cage. He looked very nervous. And, yes, there's always, like, some nervous energy in Yohan's fight because, like, he's big and he hits hard and he's, like, the fast-twitch guy that's going to try to counter you with a big right hand or something. So there's always, like, some nervous energy, but he never looks that nervous. Like, he looked very, very nervous in that fight. Every time Malott was doing anything, he gave him some big reactions, like to the body kicks, and that's why Malott was going to the head kick like right after, because Yohan was like when he felt like the kick was going up, he was getting his hands all the way up. And when he felt like the kick was going down, he's getting his hands all the way down. I don't know. I didn't like the reactions he was giving him. And Mike was just so smooth and calm and collected at range doing his stuff. And then Yohan tried a punch, a huge ass punch, which was misguided to be I think that's even an understatement, man. And got taken down, man. Guy punched himself right into the clinch, got easily taken down, because when you're off balance like this, you're the easiest guy in the world to take down. And then, man, he showed us some fucking Gabriela Fernandez grappling, which that's the part I don't get, because, man, I rolled with this guy. He's good, man. He knows what he's doing on the ground. And, like, it's not him to have a guy on top of him on side control and grab his head and keep, like, bro, the guy, Yohan knows that when you're on bottom, you want to create space with the guy. You don't want to, like, hug him and get him close to you. That's a lot of things that Fernandez was doing in the first round against Jasmine. I was like, man, how do you think that it's a good idea to keep the girl close to you when you know that's the only thing she wants? You got to create space. And Yohan did not do this. Gave up the position. And then even the choke was weird, man. Like, I know it looked very tight. The pressure was there. Everything was there. But, like, he tapped before Malott even finished his transition. I don't think Malott wanted to finish that from mount. I think he was looking to pass to the opposite side, and the regular arm triangle choke. And Yohan, like, when Malott passed to mount, just tapped from there. And, like, man, it was weird all the way through, to be honest, man.
Yeah, definitely not what you wanted to see out of Lainesse. Like, I just wanted to see a fight where both guys have success, sort of, and both guys are able to raise their stocks. But it was just Malott in this one, unfortunately for Lainesse. But Malott looked good from the start. He said no to the touch of gloves and just managed his distance right away, got some really nice side kicks out from it, and Lainesse was just super hesitant. You said the punch was misguided, but I thought that it landed on Malott, and that was sort of the reason Malott clinched up, went for the grapple, and then got the trip from the clinch, I think. And yeah, that head and arm choke, like, his shoulder looked deep in his neck, though. Like, although it was
he was like all the way there and couldn't even, like, do, like, the telephone defense that they teach us to do.
It was
sometimes you're just so tight that you can't even bring your arm back. Like, it was the case. The choke was really tight.
And Lainesse was, like, gasping for air after, like deeply gasping. But yeah, I thought it was a super slick performance from Mike. I thought, especially after he got the takedown, maybe this is one of the times where we're going to get to see Mike after or past the first round, because it looked like Lainesse was sort of fighting just a bit more patient. And I don't know, I guess it wasn't, I don't know how to describe it really, but just not super active. It wasn't this firefight like everyone was expecting. But no, Mike still found a way to get the finish in the first round. And you got to wonder who's next for him, who the UFC is going to give him after 2 first-round finishes in his first 2 fights. Guy, I like to think maybe someone like Andre Fiallo would be a good fight. And that's another one that could find itself on a good spot on a pay-per-view or main card on another fight night, because both those guys are going to bring it.
To be honest, man, I'm kind of scared for both of their next fights, but in different ways, of course. But, like, for Mike, I feel like he Jesse said, he's one of the great Canadian prospects that we have. I think he can become a top 15 fighter in one of the best divisions in the UFC and everything. So I feel like he can face a really good fighter in this next fight. But I would still appreciate, like, I don't want to say a slow build, but like a moderate build. Like, the guy's only 2-0 in the UFC. I know 2 first-round finishes, very exciting performances, able to knock some guys out, to submit some guys. He's able to do everything. He looks like a very complete fighter. But, like, sometimes the UFC looks at these fighters and they get just too excited, and, like, they book him like, oh, yeah, like fucking Santiago Ponzinibbio just lost, like, or please fight him, or whatever, like, the case is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that next. Like, I want to see that someday. I think Mike can do very well in these fights, but I want to see it next. I would like to see him get like a normal prospect build when he can get like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 UFC fights before facing the borderline top 15 guy that's then's gonna get him to the top 15 and then forward and forward. So yes, I think Andre Fiallo, a guy like that, like who's got some experience, but who's clearly like middle of the pack or like lower middle of the division, that's where I'd like to see Malott fight in his next fight and just have a steady rise up the division with tests that are better every time, but that makes sense, like a progression that makes sense, which seems to lack sometimes in the UFC nowadays, to be honest. And for Yohan, I'm even more scared because, like, man, the guy only started his pro career in 2018. I know for a fact that, like, he's a very intelligent guy in life in general. So he's going to come back home and he's going to look at what he did wrong and he's going to work on that. And like I said, he's never going to be the best athlete, never going to be like the most skilled fighter, but his work ethic and the way that he's able to analyze the game and work on specific stuff, that's what's going to make him a successful fighter in the UFC. But that was a non-performance, like if there ever was one. And I don't want to I don't want you guys to feel like I'm taking credit off Mike Malott. I feel like it's 100% on Mike Malott. He provoked that non-performance from Yohan Lainesse, so it's amazing for him. But like, bro, with the new UFC, we often see like matchups of, let's say, guys that, like, best example on that card, Augusto Sakai, Dontal Mays. Yes, Sakai was on a 4-fight losing streak, but bro, did anybody really think he was going to lose to Dontal Mays, who is like bad? He's bad. He's not good. Not good at all. So they tend to do fights like that where there's a guy like, yes, he's on a losing streak, but he has plenty UFC fights, plenty experience, and he needs a bounce back. So they're going to feed a guy to him that they don't have much faith in. And I'm just very scared that they don't have much faith in Yohan after that performance and that he might get his, like, the final fight on his UFC contract to be against a guy who's got 10, 15, like Alex Morono, like, or shit like that. You know?
Yeah, I could see them maybe giving him to, who I just saw him, I don't know, maybe like Miguel Baeza.
Yeah, he was booked to fight. He was booked to fight Miguel Baeza, actually.
Yeah, so they could redo that one, definitely. But maybe even like AJ Fletcher, like someone that's like Fletcher's just got his first win in the UFC, but someone younger and another up and coming sort of guy is hopefully what they'll do. So it's another prospect versus prospect because Lainesse is very young in his MMA career and still has a lot of potential to fulfill in the UFC. But let's just hope that he can start to put things together a bit more in his next performance and make things click.
Yeah, personally, I want either Teba Karimbo or Blood Diamond.
Yeah, Mike, that would be a good one.
That's what I'm looking at, man. Fucking give us Blood Diamond right now. That would be good.
In Canada too, please.
Yeah, 2 big beefy guys that are gonna go at it, and Blood Diamond he's not very good, so there's a good chance that Yohan would be able to win that fight. So that covers it for Canadian MMA. I think there's like couple other topics that we should touch on.
We got Marc-Andre Barrios fighting next week against Julian Marquez. Let's go Power Bar back in the building for the pay-per-view.
Like, did you see the odds for this fight?
It's super close. Barrios opened as the underdog and now he's a favorite, right?
Yep. That was kind of surprising, to be honest. Not because I don't think he should be favored. I actually do think he should be favored. But like, Julian Marquez is a guy that, weirdly enough, we know about. Like, he's got some type of name value, even though he hasn't been that active and everything. So, like, often the odds are skewed for the guy that we know a little better. So I was kind of surprised to see that. But, like, I liked it. It was a good surprise, not a bad one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're pretty accurate. Like, the sharp bettors, right when they opened, what was it, within less than an hour, Marc-Andre got bet from plus 130 to minus 140. So I definitely agree with the odds. It's pretty tempting to put some money on Power Bar because it seems like one of those fights where you can have a classic performance, like against Dolce Lungiambula or who was that, Abu Azaitar, where he's like, it's a crazy pace, crazy pressure. Marquez is maybe landing the bigger shots that are like more significant, but Barrios just peppering him, landing lots of those uppercuts in the clinch are always nasty from him. He's really good at those, and I can't wait for this one. It has fireworks written all over it.
Yeah, and that's stuff that he's gonna be able to do against Julian Marquez. You know, Julian Marquez is gonna clinch with him like every 25 seconds. So, yeah, man, it's gonna be a good fight. Open up the prelim portion of this UFC pay-per-view. It's gonna be good. Can't wait. But now it's time for you to give your final take on Jon Jones, Cyril Gane.
I still haven't made up my mind on who I think is going to win. Before this, I was downloading and uploading on here Cyril Gane's fights in TKO, his last two, and his style just still looks like it looked like it's Cyril's style. It's just evolved since then, but I really have a hard time of predicting a winner for this one. As time has gone on, I have leaned towards Cyril more. As Jon Jones, there's just so many questions. We haven't seen him in 3 years, and his last couple of fights have been his more lackluster performances. Like I said when we first talked about this fight, like Jones struggles with people that are the same or close to the same height as him. That's what he's getting with Gane. How is Jones going to look with the extra weight, and how is he going to do in the later rounds? So, and against someone who manages the range so well, like Cyril Gane, I'm leaning Cyril maybe 55-45 right now at the moment, but after I watch the UFC countdown, it could flip back to Jones, and then after I watch Embedded episode 1, it could flip back to Cyril Gane. So I really have no clue, but I'm going for Cyril for sure. What are you thinking, man?
Pretty much the same thing as you, but I can't pick against Jon Jones, man.
No.
We've never seen this guy lose ever. Like, yes, there was some decisions that you don't know, but like officially the guy like never lost the fight. Yes, he got DQ'd because he killed Matt Hamill too much, and the referee was yelling at Matt Hamill, who was deaf, so couldn't answer, and that was a whole like fuck up in itself. It's a legendary MMA moment, to be honest. One of the moments that made us realize how much of a bad referee was Steve Mazzagatti, who then like got absolutely trashed by Dana White for years before basically getting booted from the UFC by the UFC. Like, they went to the commission saying, we don't want this motherfucker to ref our fights anymore. So yeah, that was that. But no, I agree with you that there's so many questions with Jones, and that the weight is probably going to be a factor. The layoff is probably going to be a factor. When we've seen him on the layoff, he's looked like a little, I don't want to say bad, because still Jon Jones the better fight, probably the best fucking fighter we've ever seen. And I know we're in Canada, and when we say that, people are like, yeah, but GSP, but yeah, come on. GSP was amazing, and probably GSP's accomplishments were better than Jon Jones, because GSP is kind of a normal guy. Yes, athletic and everything, but kind of a normal guy who got into MMA and fucking was good. Jon Jones was born for that shit. Like, Jon Jones is physically conceived to be the best fighter ever. He's got like every cheat code in the book, that the super long range, the athletic ability of a family who's got like two brothers playing in the NFL at a super high level. Chandler Jones still in the NFL, like at 30 something, getting paid like 20-30 millions a year to sack quarterbacks. So like, this family is a family of athletes. To think that Jon is probably the lesser athlete out of the three brothers is absolutely crazy. But yeah, like, the guy had everything in the gene pool go his way. So, and he's just like, he's the phenom. He's the Michael Phelps of MMA. He's the guy that is just an absolute cheat code. So yes, all of the questions remain, and that's why this fight's so amazing, because we can't know what's gonna happen. Because yes, like, if you just look at the tapes and everything, Jon Jones probably taking Cyril down and probably doing work on the ground, but how is that gonna happen with all the questions that we put forward? So yeah, in the end, man, Jon Jones, if he wants to be the greatest of all time, it's it's time for the greatness to come out right now. And like when he had to be great to not lose, he was always great. So I gotta pick John Jones until I see him lose once. I can't pick against him. So that's gonna be my pick. But yeah, like who fucking knows who's gonna win? And of course, man, to have met Cyril back when he started his career in Quebec and everything. Of course, my heart is with him all the way through. I hope that he's the one to do it. That would be absolutely crazy to think that I personally know this fucking guy and he was the one to beat John Jones finally after all these years. But yeah, till it happens, I gotta pick John Jones for sure, man.
Yeah, I just feel that connection with, like, not connection, but like I feel like I want to root for him just because he started his career out here in Canada at TKO and French Canadian. I know he's not Canadian at all, but I just want to root for the guy. And then besides all that, he's like seems like the nicest guy, the most he's just a funny, good guy. Seems wholesome whenever the camera's on him. So good guy, good kid.
Yep, that's his nickname, basically.
Yeah,
that's his nickname, basically. The last questions I got. Do you think Cyril is playing mind games? Or Cyril is really lazy as fuck and did not train for this fight?
Yeah, I saw that his coach said it was out of context a little bit, but I think he's just playing mind games. There's no way that he's lazy and he wasn't really training, because he had to know that even when the contract wasn't signed, that the Jones fight had to be on the horizon at some point, and he was working towards it because he's at the top of the division. It's either a rematch with Francis, a Jones fight, or like Stipe or Tom Aspinall. So I think that he's just playing with him a little bit, having a little bit of mind games. What are your thoughts?
I don't know him to be like that, but that would be like some like low-key funny shit to pull. Like, oh, that would be funny if he really trying to play with him, because that's John Jones' game a lot. Like, I'm not even sure John Jones is like, bro, the DC stuff is weird, man. Like, no way John Jones is just like kind to DC. Like I don't believe that shit. Like, I think he's still trying to troll him, but troll him in another way. So yeah, kind of doing the John Jones thing on John Jones. So I like it. I really fucking hope he's not lazy and did not train for this fight, because, like, man, if you want to squander an opportunity, that's the way to do it, man. Like fucking John Jones. But yeah, no, I don't think we can really put any stock into that before we actually see the fight and everything. But yeah, it was a like funny tidbit of I don't want info. Is it info or like gossip? Or I don't know really how to categorize it. But yeah, that was some stuff. So, bro, before I let you go, did you watch the stupid ass boxing fight today?
I hate to say that I did. Yeah, I'm ashamed to say that I watched it.
Yeah, I came back from TriStar. Greg was like, oh, the fight is starting right now. I was like, what the fuck, man? Well, why is it like in the middle of the afternoon like that? And then I realized that it was in the Saudi Arabia, and that's why it was at that time. But yeah, I can't really say that I watched it enough to score it or whatever. Like, every time I was looking down, Jake Paul was basically eating 4 or 5 punches and then throwing a big ass overhand and clinching a lot. And the analysts were kind of on. There was like one very hater analyst, and the other two were kind of on Jake's dick. So you couldn't really like know what was going on. And like, I gotta say, with the knockdown in the final round, and when the fight ended, like, I was fully expecting a Jake Paul win. Not that I believed that he won, but like I was just fully expecting. Went to the limit, was like not that close, but close enough for it to be an argument. And he did not win. Does it change anything at this point? Like, I just think he's there, unfortunately. I know everybody wanted him to see lose, and then he's got to get the fuck out of here and we'll be done with Jake Paul. Like, I don't think we're done with Jake Paul, man.
No. I just wanna know what the fuck was the point of that whole PFL thing, because they're already talking about the rematch now. And what was the whole point of him signing with PFL, saying he's going to do MMA and being like the talk of the town for a week or two in that slow January time for MMA news.
Yeah, like bro, who the fuck knows at this point? It's just he's out there, Jake Paul, and man, that's the only thing he needs to. That's the only thing he knows how to do, man. But yeah, he's trash, man.
People said this was going to happen when he fought a real boxer, and it happened. Like, he just got outclassed pretty much. He looked pretty shit out there, to be honest. Like, Tommy was way more technical, way more crisp with his punches, and was just like jabbing the shit out of Jake's face. He had some nice flurries. I only gave Jake round 3 and round, I guess only because of the knockdown I gave him round 8, but Tommy did so well after that. It was almost just a 10-9 round. They both got deducted points for like bullshit things. The ref just wanted his moment. And yeah, I just gave Jake like round 3, round 8 because of the knockdown, but he didn't outbox him the whole round. And then maybe one of the rounds between rounds 5 to 7, like maybe one of those, but he got exposed pretty much. He was just way out. He was outclassed technically. He was just winging big shots, trying to look for the knockout shot. And yeah, I thought Tommy was going to finish him, to be honest. And then there was like round 7, I think it was when Jake, and no, one of those later rounds Jake did well, but he's not very good. I kind of want to see him just go and fight someone good in MMA and get smacked up there. They're going to do the rematch and try to make it some big thing and argue that Jake won it, and I don't care about it at all.
Yeah, I didn't for that one either. I just like opened it because it was going on, and like I said, I just like learned where it was at and what was involved and whatever the fuck. But yeah, moment of the fight, between the rounds, they go to Logan Paul. Hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, hey, Tommy, I don't know if you hear me, but you're a bitch. So that was the moment of the fight for me. Shout out.
I thought that was a mistake from Logan because Tommy came out and he looked pissed off after that and started beating Jake's ass.
Yeah, no, probably a mistake, but ain't that what we wanted in the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that was. I kind of appreciate that. Like, they don't say it out loud, but everybody who's there kind of knows that this is a shit show. So they're not like treating it like it's a super serious boxing fight of the best guys in the world or whatever. So I can appreciate that, like that they're treating it for what it's worth, which is not much. But yeah, like, man, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about that and not last night's UFC, but I guess that just goes to show. Like, the only thing I want to say about last night's card, bro, like, I know there's some people saying, and you're kind of down on stuff, and it's like, I don't know why you're not hyped up, but bro, like, probably the best fight of the night last night was Trevor Peek and Eric Gonzalez. Oh. And like, I don't know if I ever seen two, like, bro, I would have beat these two guys. Straight up, I would have beat these two guys, man. They're trash. They were bad. It was bad MMA, bad reactions. Like everybody was doing his best to try to not win this fight. A fucking Mexican guy got finished with a standing hammer fist. I don't know. Like, it was fun. Like, it was a good bad fight, but it was terrible, man. Like, it's not the level I want to see when I open my TV and watch some UFC. I can see that shit on some Bellator prelims for sure. I don't care. Like, I know there's some guys on the rise, some guys like developing and stuff. But when I open the UFC, I expect to see the best mixed martial artists in the world. And yes, that all round was fun for sure. But like, bro, how trash were these guys, man? To be honest,
you can thank the Contender Series for that, because they're just, that's sort of the way that that's what they look for, is just a crazy guy that's going to go out there and try to finish the fight, rather than a technician that's going to go out there and look to outclass his opponent. But it's nice that there's a lot more fighters nowadays, so a lot more people have the opportunity to make a decent living at this profession. But it definitely has brought the skill level of these Apex cards down quite a bit, to where there's not like a lot of substance to them.
Not at all, man. So I think that's it for me. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to cover, but
just power bar fighting next week for us, right? And we've got like PFC happening the same day as the podcast, so we're gonna break that down in 2 weeks. But that's right after Josh Hill is fighting and Samourai, so we'll see how much they get.
Of course, man. So we'll be looking forward to all of that. So see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and